You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, cool. Alright.
Yeah, let's do it.
Peace, what's going on? I'm J. Rod D.
What's going on, everybody? I'm G,
You welcome to the Poet Life Podcast.
hosted by none other than
Nuance. Big things going on right now, right? We're beginning something new, a brand new endeavor. You may have seen us at open mics, you may have seen us at certain shows, but now we're gonna go into a whole new avenue, the podcast realm. We have a lot of things to say.
Oh, a lot of things.
And we will that you guys will listen, and hopefully that you guys will take something from each episode. It's gonna be a little something new, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, I guess you can say.
So what we had an idea of doing is just bringing our chemistry to your home. You know, you ain't gotta come out with us to know what is it, poetry lounges or nothing like that. We coming straight to you, and how else better to do it than, you know, kick back on the couch with none other than your brothers here. You know, we got the cool socks on, you know, jogging pants, and we just chilling fresh out work. So you gonna hear some poetry. You know, we got anything from topics from music to sports to just everyday life situations, and we just two brothers that enjoy the art. And we allow our art to just touch everything in our lives, alright? So we hope y'all dig it, man. It's gonna be super, super fun, man. So how you wanna kick this thing off? Better yet, let's do it like this.
Okay.
J. Rod D, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
All
Look
right,
well
all right.
hydrated and everything.
Yes,
you
sir.
know?
Yes, sir.
All right. What does poet life mean to you? The poet life. What does the poet life mean?
Poet life to me, I just take both words.
Oh, both words.
Poetry is my everyday. You know, I think about it all the time. Think about something I can say all the time. How I can take what I see and put it into words. I think it's a part of me. I think poet life is just living and expressing what you stand for. And I choose to do that through the realm of poetry. So poet life to me would be just an extension of, who I am.
Extension.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How about yourself?
Well, I'm glad you asked, brother. You know what I'm saying? Poet life to me is just using everyday skills, and attaching your imagination to it. You know, everything is a poem. For me, everything I see is a poem. From walking down the street to seeing the old couple holding hands and the baby running after his father or something like that, to just anything I feel. It's a beat, it's a groove to me. You know how I feel about grooves and everything. So that's the poet life to me. Everything that happens in your day is a piece of your poem. You just gotta share it, write it down, keep it.
Okay. Okay.
Groovy, man.
Well, shout out to the Poet Life. This is the Poet Life Podcast once again. Those just tuning in, I'm J. Rod D.
I'm G.
We are Nuance. We
Yes,
hosting
sir.
the Poet Life Podcast. Kick back on the couch. Come talk to us, man. Come let us know what's going on. What are your thoughts? You can feel free to comment. If you're on the live feed, feel free to say what you got to say, support, whatever you want to add to the comments.
Absolutely.
Appropriately, of course.
Every day, or not every day, every show, before the show, we will post a question on our respective social medias. Please read the question, answer the question. If you're on our Instagrams, we'll have that. We'll have it on our storyline so you can see it while you're scrolling through between work and the hustle and bustle of your day. We'll put it on Facebook and all things of that nature. If you see us, we might even text a few people, just simply because we acknowledge that a lot of people have different dialogue. Excuse me. So, yeah, man. What was are we getting into the question? We'll say.
Let's come to that real quick.
Okay.
But for those who may not know us, tell us about your journey in poetry.
Oh man, my journey in poetry started when I was 9 years old. I heard a cat named by the name of Bashir Jones. He's a councilman now in Cleveland. If you're watching this, Bashir, shout out to you, man. Congrats. He wrote a poem called "I'm Just a Kid," and that poem to this day kind of was like part of my foundation. and I never, taken poetry seriously. You never really seen kids writing or, wanting to write at least, And the fact that it was at a talent show. He went to the junior high with my sister.
Okay.
And I was just like, man, I want to do that. I think I could do that. But I was nervous. So up at like from 9 to my first on stage poem I recited, I think I was 13. It was in front of a class. I was nervous. I was messing up and tried to freestyle. It was terrible. It was terrible. But it just became like my voice because I was scared to talk, and I wasn't really sure of myself at the time. So growing up, a pen and paper teaches you a lot of things, man. It helps you grow as a person. It gives you that freedom to just escape the everyday life. So, but yeah, man, how'd you get into this thing, man?
Before I go, tell us like, okay, so you started then.
Yeah.
Where are you now with poetry?
Now poetry is as simple as breathing to me, man. It's a part of my everyday speech.
Okay.
So now, alongside of being with one of the greatest brothers known to man, J. Rod D here, it's just like poetry became that pillar for me.
Right.
That safe haven where I can't, you can have me at work, you know what I'm saying, and I'll be professional and all that stuff at school. I'm studious, and in my family, I'm that brother, that son, that uncle. But when it comes to my pen and pad, I can be anything. Right. I can be anything I want to. So now it's just a matter of, we doing these shows every now and again. We get to touch the community. Like the time we got to perform for the kids at that, what was that, the school or something?
Oh, in Southeast?
Yeah.
For the holidays, yeah, definitely.
That was, we get to do things like that. Even when we sparked off just networking and going on, we took the water to Flint. Like, what was that, a couple years ago?
Yeah, a couple years ago during the crisis, yeah.
It was beautiful, man. Those things are the tangibles that allow me to be a better poet because, like I said before, poetry is everything you see. So that sparked off, how I started writing books and became self-published authors to wanting to write more books and then have that sort of be like a tool to navigate us higher into what we're doing now. So I don't see poetry as just being a part of my life, man. I see it as just me being able to share my message, like kind of how like a minister does his craft.
Got you.
In religion, you want to share spread the word. I want to spread my words. Hopefully it touches everybody they hear. Okay. So yeah, man. So stop ducking the question, though, brother.
I ain't ducking it. I think I started when I was in middle school. Okay. I was in math class. I was frustrated with what's going on in math. I wasn't really getting it at the time. So I just started writing down how I felt. I did my first little freestyle when I was a little kid, but that's like a little freestyle.
Remember the freestyle?
Yeah. I get the education for the whole nation. Now I'm free, so be like me. I was probably like, a couple of years old. But I was young enough that everybody was like, so. But I started writing.
Hold on, you had the flat top?
Nah, I had a red cut. What? We used to get the little Michael Jordan bald heads because it was Michael Jordan. So we go to the barber shop, and my uncle, he cut our hair. He was like, Uncle Chad, can I get the Michael Jordan? He'll cut us, get the bald hair.
Chad wasn't cutting the bald hair for me, man. Only time I got bald hairs, I got whooping.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I started when I was in middle school, though, man. I was going with middle school. It was around the time I wasn't understanding math class. I was frustrated, so I just vented my frustrations, and from that, it became like a relief for me. It became something like a go-to. And I did my first spoken word piece when I was 19 years old. I was at a summer camp. I was a counselor. They had like a talent show for the staff before the kids would come to the camp. Word. When they had like the week for training for the staff members. I did my I did my poem there. It was in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. A lot of people I didn't even know at all, never seen at all, haven't seen since then. And the response I got was incredible because I didn't expect that kind of response. And I wasn't looking for any kind of response. I just wanted to go on the stage and again find that relief. So I went on stage, did my thing, and it got such a good response. I felt encouraged. I felt like, man, I can do this. And when I got off, one of the guys came to me and he said, you know what, man, I think you got a future in this. It was my first time doing my own original piece. I'm 19 years old. I think I got a future in this. So I stuck with it. And ever since then, I went from doing little venues at my school, Maryland Eastern Shore. Went to different spoken word events around the city, around the DMV. linked up with G, and linked up with you, became Nuance, and ever since then we've been going on, man. So published the book. Just finished my second one.
Yeah.
Summertime is coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that, everybody, in
Yes,
YouTube
Lord.
and Facebook, Instagram land. And I think that's how I plan on doing it, man. For the most part, my goal for poetry and how I want my career to go, I want to be able to make more than I'm making now working a full-time job off of poetry. I want that to be like my primary means of income, and I want it to be like a good means of income to the point where I can do other things as well and make more money. You know what I'm saying? Like have different streams of income, but poetry be chief. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how I would like to go.
I dig that,
Yeah.
man. Make your passion your paycheck type deal.
Yeah, definitely,
I feel
man.
that. So I never asked you this. Let's
Okay.
put a wrinkle in real quick.
Okay.
When you hit the stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
What feeling takes over your body? How does that feel to just, look out into the crowd and see like all eyes on you waiting to hear what you got to say?
For the most part, man, honestly, nowadays it's okay. So it started off as like a nervous feeling. Of course, you get jitters, you get nervous because people out there and you don't know how it's gonna go. Now it's to the point where I know what I'm saying. I know how I'm gonna say it. I know the effort I'm putting into what I'm saying. So now it's just like a tight feeling, like my core, everything is tight. It's like I'm ready to go. It's like I'm excited, like it's game day.
Yeah,
or I'm about to go on the court
yeah.
to go put up 40 against somebody. So now I feel energized before I even go out there. Now I'm hyped before I even go out on the stage. And when I get on the stage or wherever I'm at, in front of the microphone, in front of people to present my poetry, it's just that it's like it's beaming through me at that point.
I dig that.
You know what I mean? How about you?
I still get nervous, man.
Okay.
It's that excitement though, like
Yeah.
especially like when we go to a venue where nobody's heard of us.
Right.
And it's like I like the fact that, like when we go to these venues and then they just think it's just somebody is from around the way, give it up for Nuance, and they
Smoky
think they
Yeah.
think it's one person and it's actually two, and then
Right.
we go up there, we do our thing, and like I like to see the evolution of the crowd, and when from where we first start to where we finish, it's just like wow. It's so groovy, man. And then that feeling turns from nervousness to confidence.
Right.
And then you just be in your element. Like I close my eyes a lot because I like to picture what I'm saying. Like it's just the crowd disappears at
So-
one point.
So for people who may not know some venues to go to, what would be, I guess, your favorite spots to hit up? And
My
then we can go
favorite
into shout outs
spots-
after that.
My favorite spots to hit up is Pure Lounge every first Wednesday
Okay.
of the month.
Okay.
That's
Shout out
the
to
one.
O.
Yeah,
the
O.
poet. He's doing big things.
Yeah,
Shout out to O.
Yeah, I love I want to really get out more to go into Baltimore, like support, cats like Nova,
Nova.
Sir Alex,
Nate.
boy named Nate. Yeah, he got a event coming up May 6th too.
Yeah. Shout out to
Okay.
Sir Alex. Shout out to Nova Spade and Nate. Poet named Nate. I'm sorry.
Boy named Nate, man. It's a lot. Like this thing is starting to grow in a rage like speed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's starting to build, like build and build and build to where it's authentic still, but in good areas.
Who are some poets that inspire you? Like nowadays, who are some poets that inspire you, that keep you on your toes, that keep you wanting to go? And we can go into the question the day after this. Actually,
You got, any spots that you like?
I mean, I like all the
Saw
spots
that.
you name. All the spots you name, I definitely like. I also want to shout out Just Me.
Yeah, Nipsey's.
Nipsey's.
What was that? Fourth Thursday.
Oh yeah, it's like Thursday. Shout out to Just Me.
Yeah, just me.
Just Me. He's definitely doing his thing with his events that he got going on.
Yeah, man, that man's a beast. That man is definitely a beast.
So like poets that inspire, because these guys and women, they've been doing anything. They've been grinding for years. They've been grinding for a long time, and now it seems like poetry is starting to get the recognition that it deserves. Even though it's not where we wanted to be, it's still making that momentum. Still getting momentum and still pushing
Right.
towards like a bigger, better spot.
For me, man, I just started off by paying homage, and saying happy belated birthday to the late Maya Angelou, because she
Right.
definitely,
Right.
dog, from her voice to like the presence of her, the presence of her is poetry. Not many people can have that that aura about them.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? It was her. It was Gil Scott Heron for me. Man, I grew up like reading like the E.E. Cummings and the what's my man's name, Edgar Allan Poe, and all. Just learning different styles until I found the grooves of people like Jill Scott. Jill Scott to this day, if I ever see Jill Scott, I'm gonna propose, dog.
She went pro.
On site.
You gonna hit that knee button?
I'm gonna propose, but it's her. It's Common for me. Like those lyricists, I respect the musicians who are just
Right.
pure lyricists.
Right.
You know, because they're poets. Andre 3000, hands down,
Definitely Andre
is
3000.
the most, like, he's my favorite out of like any and everybody. I like, that's a goal to meet him one day. You know, poets, like, and even down to like the people that we rock with every day. You, Lucky, Ransom. Who else keeps me on my toes, man? Nate, poet named Nate. You know, my beautiful and talented Jay Speaks. You know, so you probably haven't met her yet, but she's pretty, super dope, man. And just us, man, like from the times that we just have our sessions at the house, man.
Right.
When we had the house, it was just like so dope being in the basement and just bouncing ideas off each other and then just watching the magic evolve, bro. What about yourself, man? Who hipped you?
I'm a start historically, so kicking it from not I don't want to say historic like the old, but I guess you can say legendary status.
Yeah.
Black Ice is probably
Black
my
Ice,
favorite
for
legendary
sure.
status poet.
For sure.
Hands down. I remember being in high school looking at Deaf Poetry Jam videos on YouTube when I'm supposed to be doing classwork in the computer lab, just listening to everything he had to say, holding on to every word, and then seeing how like when he finished, he walked off the stage and it was like it was crazy just seeing that. I can imagine how it was being in that area at the time when it was just so thick. Even down to the modern times, guys like Messiah Ram Consume. I looked up to this guy a whole lot, still do. But when he was in the city, I looked up to him so much so that I wanted to be at every show I could make that he was performing. I tried to make it out there, and I got to perform at one of his events one day, and got to speak to him outside the show, after the show. And it was a pretty good conversation, man. I definitely felt inspired from that conversation. Real down to earth, humble guy, real solid, strong brother. Also, I want to shout out Over the Poet, because Over the Poet, like I said, his style is matchless. I remember I was still in college. I went to one of his shows, and he was performing at an art show. And the first time I seen somebody, I seen it before, of course, but actually like witnessed it and actually understood going without a microphone. And when I seen that, it made sense. Like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be for everybody else, but that's for me. Like, it stuck with me. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
So I seen O and I seen this grind and so much. Like, it's a question I want to ask, but I wait to get there. But it's like, okay,
Keep that in the front of your mind.
I seen O do. He has a documentary out. He has an album out.
Yeah.
And he hosts his own shows, and
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
He's everywhere. So that's the level that I'm thinking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if it's not that kind of way that he's doing it, like I said, he moves how he moves. But that's what I'm talking about. Has poetry being that means, you know, to what you want to get accomplished,
I feel
man.
that. Like, you ever got hip to Strivers Row?
I heard about Striving before.
Yeah, so like a lot of my favorites, you know, Josh Bennett, Miles Hodges, Jasmine Mans, who is just like, she's a Ginsu artist when it comes to words.
Yeah, she's deep.
You know, I got hip to them, like, just the shout out to the Strivers Row too, man. Just
Shout out to Strivers Row.
doing a lot, man. If y'all haven't heard of them, YouTube them, Google them. Like, it's just it's a plethora of people. Carvin's Lassant, who is just like that guy, and he's doing like theater now. Like, your poetry can take you to those places where it's just like you didn't think that you were allowed to go with just your pen and pad starting off. You know, you just was writing. You, like, for me, I was just a kid writing. Now I'm like here doing a podcast. We doing shows. I'm in DC. I'm from East Cleveland, Ohio, brother. I didn't think I was gonna be out here. You know.
You think poetry will ever get on the radio?
I think
Like people have their favorite songs?
that's tough, man, because
You think poetry, like you think stage, you think
stage, you think books, you think
Right,
you know
right,
what
right.
I'm saying, conversational
Yeah.
type stuff. For the radio, I don't think the radio will want to play poetry because we not our skill can't really be bought like that.
how you think you can translate it to that area? I mean, is it possible?
I think it's possible, but you have to be so creative
Okay.
and different.
Yeah, I got you.
Like you can't go the same route as like somebody who has a mixtape and wants to hop on, you know, Sirius Radio and go on Sway in the Morning and Breakfast Club. You gotta come in there with some type of eclectic energy that says, "Hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I got something different that I know you're gonna like." Kind of like how hip hop was in the very beginning. Nobody knew that hip hop would grow to what it was gonna be. Now,
Yeah, definitely not.
now you got different genres of hip hop.
Hip hop is the number one music genre in the country now.
Yeah, and it started out in just like little boroughs of New York. Like now, it's all over the world in different languages. Like that's why like poetry, I feel like is in different languages, but it's just not as loud as hip hop or R&B or like music for people to play it on the radio.
Definitely.
But once it gets there, that's gonna be dope.
Like for example, I'm thinking about Young Jeezy had an album out. I want to say I think either a year or 2 years ago. He had Sonny Patterson on one of the songs. And you know, Sonny Patterson's dope. Sonny Patterson's like lyrical.
Yeah.
And when the song was incredible as well. That's a song that can be on the radio possibly because it was a song, it segued to her joint, and she had time to spit what she wanted to say. Like stuff like that. That's the vision that I have, you know, for what things we can do. So when I heard that O had an album out, I'm like, man, some of these songs can be on the radio. You know what I mean? And even if it's not this album right here, if he keeps pushing out this kind of work, man, eventually 95.5 shouts a new artist almost every day.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, you know what I mean? Like this stuff can get there. But let's get to this question of the day. So we had a question of the day for those who are watching.
Yeah.
Question of the day when we would just ask a random question on Instagram on our story, and of course you could put a poll and yes or no. So the question that we asked before this one currently was, in light of the recent events going on in America, consider this James Baldwin's quote where he says, to be African American, to be black in America, to be black in America is to be in a constant state of rage. Do you agree, yes or no? Right? A lot of people say yes. And I'm sure because this was a time when the police officers just got away for Eric Garner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just got off for that whole case. It's nothing going on. They able to keep working. Also, Stephon Clark.
Yeah, man.
He had a cell phone. He thought it was a gun. You know, like it makes you think. So as a poet, it makes you think, okay, how can I channel this frustration into something that can actually inspire people to want to make something happen and not just be like a rant? Because it's easy to go and rant, I feel like this, and then go to the next open mic and just say how I feel. But if you don't move anybody to action, then it's like you farted, pretty much, right? It's like you farted.
Yeah.
You know, we smell it. You know what I'm saying? It's around.
It's like, all right,
It's gonna go away, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, that man. First off, that quote is just in itself, James Baldwin. I mean, that name carries. But that rage that you feel, man, it, as a poet, it makes you want to rant. Because that's the easy route, right?
yeah.
Oh, I'm mad. Let me put it to pen and paper and go on somebody's stage or somebody over mic, like you said, and just rant. Because that's what it will be. But to be a poet means that you have to intrigue the minds of your listeners too, especially if you're on the stage. You know, because everybody's not going to read it how you say it. And we all know that, you know. So it's one of those, what can I say to make sure that I'm not rapping, I'm not long-winded, but I get directly to the point that touches the heart of the people in the audience that says, man, we got to do something, or I need to take this into consideration, because for some it's just like, oh man, well, there go another cop killing the black man, he gonna get off, and then now we about to bury another one of us. Versus saying that, how can we shift over to saying something like, nah, we have to protect what's ours. We have to make sure, you know, even though that a lot of these situations are like not as daunting or not as, you know, threatening as you may think, but it ends up being the opposite. Stephon Clark died because he had a cell phone in his hand, and they thought it was a gun. Right. You know, for us poets like that, we can take that and flip that into a whole storyline and use every metaphor. That could be a bar. You know, that'd be not just a bar. That'd be several bars. You know, and I can imagine. I feel like people have already used that example in their poems. You know, I don't know if it was rant though, or if it was really to just say something.
There's nothing wrong with rants. You know,
there's
nothing wrong with it.
Rants until your rant becomes more than poetry. It becomes just a rant,
like it's just self-serving, right?
If it's self-serving and you just needed to vent, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, for the sake of the listeners, you know, because open mics to me is just like, okay, you're there to share your art, to share your heart through this art. That's what O say, you know, sharing my heart through this art. Right. You know, to just, you know, be entertaining. Because that's what the stage is. You hop on stage, you're sharing something, but you're also there to entertain. Your body language, you know, what your topic is. A lot of poets seem so one-dimensional these days, to the point that you almost can guess what they're about to say based off the first two things that come out their mouth.
And you never want to get to that point where people can already know, okay, he's going to talk about this, or this is going to come next, or okay, I already know you got a new post and it's Poetry Month. This is gonna be what it's gonna be about. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, man, it's Poetry Month. I'm excited for Poetry Month. How you wanna handle this month? You know, last month we did the 31 Days of She for Women's Month. You know, shout out to everybody. 31 Days of She started out as an idea. Okay. You know, remember we were sitting at the house. I'm like, man, I wanna kind of do something on an everyday basis, and at first you wasn't rocking with it. He's like, oh, I'm gonna just let that be your thing. And then this year, 31 Days of She is just, we take a poem, we write a poem every day. Straight, just whatever perspective it comes from us. Mine will be just words of affirmation this year. You know, I chose to go the opposite route and direct it more towards us brothers, because sometimes we need that voice that says, you're doing okay, but sometimes you may not understand, you know, her. That's the 31 Days of She, whether you're single or in a relationship. So 31 Days of She actually worked very well.
Worked pretty good.
Very, very good. I got a lot of feedback from brothers. More brothers than I did sisters.
Which is a good thing, because you made it with a brother.
You know what I mean? And then like that network is, oh man, thank you, man. You know, we got a shout out from somebody in the UK asking us if we was going to do more stuff like that. So shout out to that brother, you know, and definitely. So, but how we gonna do Poetry Month, man?
Poetry Month. Let's we can workshop that, but I think we should do more visuals for Poetry Month, because, like I said, I mean, the daily posts were perfect, but if we incorporate more visuals, I think it'll be dope. Okay. Okay. So you had a question this week.
Stay tuned for that.
You had a question this week. What was that question?
Oh man. I'm gonna check the answers real quick too.
Let me check mine too.
You know, okay. Our question this week, right? Can you accomplish goals and be successful without the feeling of competing or proving someone wrong? Okay. So I took it to Instagram, and 85% of the people that replied said yes. Right. 15 said no.
So 85% agree that you can be successful and accomplish goals without competing or trying to prove somebody wrong.
Yeah. Okay. That 15% I want to touch like on that, like, cause I can understand why you would say no to that though. Like, what did you get out of yours? What was the?
I had 76 said yes, and then 24% said no.
Okay. Okay. Did you get any reach outs to, you know?
I had one person reach out to me. They said that kind of gives you a chip on your shoulder. Having a chip on your shoulder is a long way. It goes a long way.
Okay.
Example, guys like Michael Jordan, guys like Tiger Woods, who said, they asked him, so what gives you a competitive edge? He said, I just think about how I want to beat you. And that's pretty much what he did. He beat everybody when Tiger Woods was really grinding like that before the scandal and everything like that. So
I dig that.
Think about like Mike Tyson, who said, I want to eat your kids. You know what I mean? Like the most wild, random stuff. Like they really trying to
it's only a
get
problem
with
if
you.
I say it's a problem.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson
yeah.
is one of my guys. He's become a great philosopher over his growth. In my opinion, that is. But
so, what do you think? Do you think it's yes or no?
Man, I think that for me, it's leaning towards the no side a little bit.
Okay.
Simply because a lot of people aren't as self-motivated to achieve goals. They don't wake up with that, especially in our generation. They don't wake up with that mindset like, oh man, let me get this done so I could just achieve this and be closer to that. You don't see too many of our generation just wanting to wake up and be great. They have to see you do it first. Or they have to, they have to have an example of somebody to chase or somebody to go against. Whether you're just like a celebrity or somebody that they've never seen. Social media is big with that. Like, oh, well, he got his style looking this way. Let me, let me learn from his style, but flip it into how I can have my style. And poetry, man, and I may be jumping the gun, but it's the same.
No, you're right on track. You ever seen anybody like bite somebody's style? Probably bite your style, bite a topic, or...
I've seen several people bite the exact bar. And try to maybe flip a couple words behind, and I just be like, I know exactly who said that. Because we live in a day and age where social media is big.
Right.
Technology is big. Things like YouTube are big. You can't, just take people's art like that.
If you think about the time, I was in college, and I did this poetry contest. And E-Baby was one of the hosts for they had like a
shout out to
panel.
E-Baby, man.
Shout out to E-Baby. He was one of the panelists, and was also one of the judges for the poetry contest. So I made it to the final round, and I did a poem that I wrote myself. And the guy who won, he did like "If" by Rudyard Kipling or something like that.
Like if.
Like if, and won the contest.
If you could keep it.
It was either "If" or "Invictus," but it was a poem. It was like. You didn't write that, brother. You didn't write that. Like, that, don't get me wrong. The way he presented it was flawless. I can't go against that at all. I'm not hating, but I'm saying like
he did the movements. How you do like at your coming out show.
Man, the idea that it's an original.
Yeah. It's
an original work versus imitation. And even the people who were the audience members said, hold up, wait. Like, you know it's real when the audience is like, hold up, wait, I heard that before. And then they like, yo, man, you should have won that. You should have won that because I'm like, you know what? I'm not the judge. So I didn't even hate on him. I didn't even say nothing about it. But ever since that moment, it was always funny whenever I seen him on campus. It was always like, he'll be like, try to turn his head like, you guilty type of stuff. So... This made me think about something, right?
Okay.
What if we talking about competition? We're talking about, all right, to answer your question, ultimately, I think it's possible to be successful and to achieve goals without trying to compete with somebody or prove somebody wrong. I say that because it takes the wherewithal within yourself to know that it's not about what they're doing, it's about what you're doing.
Word.
Now, that doesn't mean that, you want to put out the best stuff so that they got to reach up to you. That doesn't mean that at all. All I'm saying is, no, that doesn't mean that you can't put the best stuff out so that somebody can reach up to your level. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that's good to do that too. But I'm saying your standards should be so high that it's not about you competing with nobody. It's about you trying to reach the standards you already set for yourself. Okay. If that makes sense,
well,
right?
If you didn't set standards for yourself.
If you didn't set standards for yourself, then you will be with somebody that thrives off that competition.
Right.
And it doesn't make you a bad person, but I think it's a different perspective.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's why I teeter the line and saying between yes and no, because sometimes that chip on your shoulder can be some encouragement. Some of us, like, we perform best when our back's against the wall. You know, we know we got something to go against or to prove, or you know, we become more studious of what we're doing. You know, oh well, let me make sure I got this right, that right. You know, the diction and what I'm speaking here is good. You know, and then how I articulate that part. All that is just, it becomes important when you know that somebody out here is doing the same thing you're doing. They're in their lane. You know, it's not like a beef or anything, right. But it's more so, it's like, okay, well, shoot, Jay over here, like, this man is nice. He on it today. And there's been shows that we had where, like, you know, we grade ourselves like, okay, well, what do we give that show? And honestly, the first time we did Pure, that was the first time we ever gave ourselves an A, like right off the bat.
Because everything just felt right.
It just flowed. And we used that as like the pedestal to put every other piece that we had. So that's
so that was us competing with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It's a line in one of my poems when I say, my poetry was called Too Rhymey by a poetry buff, but who am I to deny the Most High's gift? Again, when I was in college, another guy came through. You know, he was a legendary poet, legendary poet. What's the word I'm looking for? Connoisseur of sorts, I guess you can say that. He's been everywhere. He's seen everything, heard everything, and you know, a big name in poetry, right? He came, he was speaking, and I did a poem. It was another presentation, open mic for this situation too. I did another poem original, and he said, "Your stuff is good, but it's just too rhymey." I didn't know what he meant, but to me, I'm coming from hip hop and rap, and my favorite rappers are lyricists. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, okay, my poetry is along the same vein. So I tried to switch the style up a little bit. It didn't feel comfortable, but I stuck with it. I tried to change the style up and be more open with my verses and not rhyme so much. But I think I found my groove a little later on down the line. But I still use that line to this day because I was trying to prove something wrong. I was trying to prove him wrong, right? That, okay, I'm going to keep on rhyming. It's going to keep on grinding. It's going to keep on shining, right? But now it's like, okay, now that's not even need within me no more. So I think for me, that's why I say it is possible, because I wanted to prove somebody wrong because I felt offended. I felt like, how dare you? I felt like this is my work. I felt some kind of way about that. Whether it was bad, whether it was feeling hurt, whatever, I felt some kind of way. And until I was able to heal from that, that's when I was like, you know what? I don't got to prove nothing to nobody. Well, I'm just do my thing. And then it's going to be what it is because I'm putting all my effort into it. Because this is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I dig that. So, oh man, before we go, top 2 favorite bars that you ever, outside of that one, of course, that you've ever delivered on the stage. Like, whatever, it could be like the stanza that you had, or top 2.
Top 2. I like to pace it patiently, never lackadaisically, lurking for some luck to level up, a sense of urgency, go get that.
Yeah.
I like that. And it's another one that I had from a song that I made, and it says, flesh, bone, spirit, I can find the inner peace, so I chose the lyrics. I chose the inner peace, liberty and dignity. If you owe $1, don't give me $1 tendency. Ollie oxen free. Holly lost the oxygen and Tommy got away for free. So why should I give up and go seek lotteries or robberies, right? So something like that. But that's rhymey, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like it's more so that's what it is.
Like, it gives me that feel of like that double Dutch feel of like, you know what I'm saying, when you're making like dough.
Yeah. You
gotta, add those ingredients to make, you know what I'm saying, whatever you want to do. It's like cooking.
Real quick, same question.
Oh man. One for me is don't be out here claiming chief if you so willing to leave your tribe hot and dry in the end. Don't be out here claiming chief if you so willing to leave your tribe hot and dry in the end. Know your limits. Know the difference between being sidelined and being offsides. Respect that line of scrimmage. You can't claim MJ in the flu game when your dependents can't depend on you to be Pippen. Mm-hmm. That's probably like one of my favorite bars. Another one is man, how did it go? And our women have a more televised prescription. She figures
If she can handle the scandal, then she can get away with murder and become a housewife. Use that false power to build her empire. Sell away her life, away for likes written in that black ink. Failing to think that maybe the remedy she's learning from love and hip hop be about as authentic as a thrift shop.